First things first. Hello, Lillian. How are you doing? Say hello to everybody. Hi. Are you waving? Hello, everybody. How are you? I look cute as all heck. Hey, everybody. It's your old friend Comic Crack. Just with a little video. I just got back from work. I'm relatively clean because I'm the boss and I don't like to get my hands dirty. Just a few things today. I was just going to talk about, it was somebody's birthday on 420. Woo! This guy right here. By no means is that you know, I don't need 100 happy birthdays in the comments, that's fine. 41 years old, and I got some things, so I wanted to talk about them. But first, let's, I went the other day to pick up some comics. Oh, that was the other thing. Hold on. I went the other day to pick up some comics, and I just wanted to talk about a couple of them. For Jaden and myself, I picked up Silver Surfer #1 for me and Mr. Tom. Hopefully that's coming out okay. And we decided to, or I decided that we should give Iron Fist, the Living Weapon #1 a shot, because we're kind of maybe 12 issues into another Iron Fist series, and we're kind of digging it, and especially with Mr. Tom's enjoyment of martial arts, we thought we'd give it a try. So just to kind of a couple of words on these. First of all, we enjoyed both of them. I haven't really seen, honestly, I haven't watched a lot of videos on like newer reviews lately, so I don't know what the kind of general consensus is on these two books. Start with Iron Fist. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was definitely intriguing. I kind of dug the art for the most part. The one thing I wasn't as crazy about was this kind of faux look, as if it was folded into a square and packed away, and like a note about the past or something maybe that's supposed to represent, or maybe it's just supposed to give it a little bit of texture, or I'm not really sure like the subtext on that one, but I wasn't as crazy about that. But what I was really excited about was the art for the flashbacks. I thought was fucking phenomenal, and more so, I really liked the coloring quite a bit, and I love that page. I think that page is fantastic there. Hopefully that's coming out and not too much of a glare, but I really dug the art. Again, not crazy about the folded up note paper look to it, and then I like the art all throughout. I love the use of like text as some of the panels, like in here. So using a different letter, I think that spells out death. Some of the perspectives, some of the angles, some of the, I don't know, I really like the style of it overall. Some of even like this, like the silhouette type of imagery that's going on there as he's practicing some moves. And as I said, I kind of dug the story as well. It looks like it'll be a bit of a darker fare as opposed to a kind of lighthearted, here's what it is. I thought this idea was kind of cool about him deciding not to fix the Rand building, to keep it up as a monument almost of like this destruction. The The sky goes red as a troupe of marionettes is pulled off the stage, and through it all, Father's watching me with those crazy eyes. I couldn't bring myself to repair Rand Tower. Engineers declared it structurally sound enough to keep standing. Maybe one day I'll be ready to bring it down, but for now, I'll leave it alone a little while longer. A reminder of, and then he says, crap, a reminder of, and then it goes into him fighting ninjas. I hate ninjas. Again, because I haven't followed as much, I keep seeing these ads for this Original Sin, Jason Aaron, and I saw today on Chris Samney's Instagram a Daredevil that's going to tie into that. So I guess that's the new epic crossover big deal event. So I gotta say that art again. I mean, it's Mike Deodato, right? I believe that's who is doing the art on that one. I can't remember if that symbol is his. I know his name is attached, but I can't remember if the symbol here beside this drawing is who drew that panel. But I like his stuff quite a bit too. So yeah, back to the thing, and then, you know, ending with a nice big page like that. I think it's really cool. For some reason, it reminds me of that Winter World a little bit, which I found digitally, and which I saw. Brings me to another point. Looking through, I can't remember what comic it was. I should have put it aside. There was an ad for Winter World. I don't know if I don't know if it's a new story or if it's reprinting that book. Maybe there's been a bit of excitement about that book. Can I also say, now that I'm going back to the comic shop, Miracle Man or Mr. Miracle or Alan Moore's Miracle Man, the originals all of a sudden are fucking popping up all over the place, which really ticks me off. At comic shops that I've hunted and looked for regularly to see if they have any kind of back issues. Now, I don't know if this is from someone's stockpile and now they're bringing them out, because now, of course, the first printings, they're charging like 16 bucks a book and stuff. And I mean, I'm so close to having that original run anyway, it really pisses me off that now, because there's these reprints, all of a sudden I can find these fucking books all over the place. It's enough of that. But so I don't know if what's happening with Winter World, if it's a reprint coming out or what the deal is, or if it's a new story. I'll have to look into that. If you haven't read Winter World, it was pretty fucking great, like a post-apocalyptic tale set in like this kind of frozen tundra. And now for Silver Surfer. We read these two back to back. We read Iron Fist first, and then we went to Silver Surfer, and obviously the tone is quite a bit different. I think they worked really well together to read, especially as these kind of bedtime stories. Because Iron Fist was a little serious, and then it was good to end on like a light note. I liked Silver Surfer a fair bit. Mr. Tom really enjoyed it, and do we even need to talk about Michael Allred? You know, forget about it. Forget about it. The Empiricon, the Impossible Palace. Great, great image. I absolutely love, let's just show it again. I absolutely love that spread, that centerfold spread. I think it's really, really cool. His art is just really fun. The tone of this book seems like it's going to be a little more fun too. Of course, with the comparisons to Doctor Who, I think that we're having, that apparently the book is supposed to focus quite a bit on like his what do they call her in Doctor Who? His female counterparts. I'm blanking on the term for it, but anyway, it's going to focus a lot on her. Mr. Tom is really excited about that because he's a big fan of Doctor Who, and he kind of liked this. I mean, he had a fun time looking at all the different creatures that he's drawn, and I mean, you know, he knows Mike Allred, you know, and he knows that he likes his art, so it's gonna be a pretty interesting one. Colors, as usual, are great, and like I said, the story was good, you know. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't mind-bendingly original. Companion is the word I'm looking for, companion. But it did what it wanted. It did what it was supposed to, and that was entertain, and it sure as hell entertained us. And this last one here, it's not a new comic, but I found it. I found two of them actually. But because I was on a budget, I thought I'd just try out one. He had it priced at $8, and then he had a sale going, so I think it came to like $5 or $6 or something like that. But specifically for ETA Nick might get a kick out of this. I don't know. I had never heard of this, but it seems like it might be something that's right up Nick's alley. I haven't read through it yet. I had a brief look through it just to see, but it's called Inside Comics, and it's kind of newsprint on newsprint. And it has an ad for the comic book on the back by Don Thompson and Dick Lupoff, and recalls the great comic book features of the past. Nostalgia Book Club. So maybe what I'll do is I'll take a break from this for a sec, and I'll take you off of the mini tripod, and we can have a little look. Maybe we'll look through it together. Okay, so here we are looking at Inside Comics. What I was going to point out was this is volume 1, number 3 from fall of 1974. Originally priced at $1. I think the other one that they had there was volume 1, number 1, but I thought I'd get this one because it had a little article on Marvel's Kung Fu color line. So again, all about Mr. Tom in mind. If it was the least bit interesting, then at least I'd have this one for us. Very cool cover there. It's in really, it's in pretty darn good shape, considering. The actual owner of the place wasn't there. He had his friend in, who kind of helps him out every once in a while, who isn't as knowledgeable about some of this stuff. So next time I go in, I'll ask him where he found it, and I don't know, obviously if anybody knows anything about it, just point something out of interest in the comments. So let's have a look. So The Dirty Dozen by Doug Murray. The comic book industry has always been plagued by problems. Never has the industry suffered more than it does today. The companies suffer, the distributors suffer, but the largest portion of grief is suffered by the creative talents that make the comic book industry possible. 12 of comics' top writers and artists were asked to divulge their gripes about the business of making comic books. So that'll be kind of interesting. American Dreaming, an analysis of the adventure strip. Repression for the hell of it, the Doonesbury scandal. The Comics Code, 20 years of self-strangulation. So the Comics Code has always been a time bomb slowly ticking away within the heart of the comic book business. The code has been the key to success for some, while to others it's meant collapse. A host of the biggest and most prominent men in the industry have elected to reflect on the diverse effects the necessary evil has had. So some of the big articles in there. Publishers, Larry Brill, Les Waldstein. No names that I recognize. Maybe with a bit of research, some names would. Marketing Director Warren Chapman's. Let's see. What else does it say here? Published quarterly by the Galaxy News Service, Inc. Yeah, so Galaxy News Service. Again, unfortunately, it doesn't mean anything to me. I'm really ignorant when it comes to this one. I don't know anything about it. I bought it just as more of a, it might be an interesting little thing to read. A time capsule of, especially with articles like what some people think from inside the industry of the industry, that sort of thing. So here you go. Just kind of have a little flip through it. And it looks like little kind of news articles throughout at the beginning. And then here's the Dirty Dozen. So Jim Steranko, Howard Chaykin, Don McGregor, Marv Wolfman, Al Williamson, Esteban Morado, Roy Thomas, Graham Morrow, Neil Adams, Mike Kaluta, Tony Isabella, and Gary, is that Jerry or Gary Conway? The time will come when the companies will have no new talents to turn to. That will be the end of the comics. Pretty big ideas, big words there, Pally. So anyway, that'll be very cool. Adventure strip. It's in really nice shape, actually. Some of the pages are just all crisp, which is great. So yeah, maybe I'll head back there, and if that other one is still there, I will grab it up as well, just to see what's in there. So here's the Comics Code, 20 Years of Self-Strangulation. Nice sized article of that. Oh, ad for Squatront. Nice. Comic books, comics, fanzines. Wits End, EC Lives, Funny World, that's cool. Erie, Comic Consumer. Here you go, yeah, so general interest fanzines. Oh, okay, so like a listing of fanzines that are out there and how to get in touch and how to order and subscribe and things. That's very, very cool. Very cool. A little bit of a Star Reach there. Morpheus. Boobies. A little price guide action. Oh, wow. Yeah, very, very neat. That's cool. I didn't really notice this section the first time I looked through. And then here we go. White Makes Right. Marvel's Kung Fu color line. Very text heavy, which is awesome. So it's as simple as 2 times 2, a mathematical analysis of comics. And then some classifieds of people selling and looking for comics rather. And then The Last Word by Ron Barlow. Cool, so there you go. There's a little look at that. Yeah, like I said, especially Nick, ETA Nick. I'll do some research too, but if you know anything about this, fill me in. I'll see when I go back. Hopefully the owner is there too, and I can ask him if he has any more stashed away somewhere. Maybe he's got a few more in the basement or something. So I'll put you back on the tripod and we will continue. That's a look at Inside Comics and stuff that I've read lately. And then I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about some movies and a couple of games. So for my big day there, Mr. Tom, it was very sweet actually. Mr. Tom apparently had some money saved on his own that he decided he wanted to buy me a birthday present. So that was the first year for that, and he made me an amazing card. It was full of Adventure Time characters, and I think he said it's birthday time on the front with like the sword coming through it and stuff. It was very, very sweet. It gave Dad the warm fuzzies when I saw all that. So he picked up King of Tokyo for us, which if you don't know this game, I'd say just have a look on YouTube's and do a search for King of Tokyo. Looks really, really fun. It's been on my list for a little while, and the biggest thing about it is, first of all, it's for 2 to 6 players. It's for ages 8 and up, and it just looks like a little more simple, just balls out fun family game. And I mean, as fun as some of our other games are, they're fairly intense. This one seems fairly light. It has all these awards on the front: Golden Geek Award, Best Family Game from the Dice Tower, Seal of Excellence, and etc., all these kind of things. Just looks really, really good, and fairly simple to play. Best children's game, best family game, best party game. So I'm really looking forward. We haven't played it yet. We're going to play it this weekend. He comes over, so we have him Friday and Saturday this weekend. So he's going to come over and we'll play that. And then I also got from special sexy lady friend, Legendary Dark City expansion, which is super exciting because Daredevil is in here, and so is Iron Fist and Apocalypse and all sorts of people. So a whole bunch of new characters, a whole bunch of new villains and masterminds and schemes and all sorts of stuff. I think it says here 350 all new playable cards. So that's fantastic. We're all very excited about that. As I said in the last video, we're huge Legendary fiends at this house, so that's really, really cool. Let me grab something. So, and then I got some movies, but before I start on that, I just wanted to say a little bit about the act of killing. I had talked about it once before when I was talking about the Oscars and the travesty that is when, to my mind, garbage wins, which is no surprise of the Oscars, and then something like this goes passed over. Few words on this. If you watched the trailer that I linked to that video, if it looked the least bit interesting, 100% go and hunt this down. If you really, really want to see it, or you really, really want to own it or something, and you can't find it in your city, before you order it online, let me know. I've seen a few copies around town. I'd be more than glad to buy it and send it to you. It's phenomenal. I'll say a couple of things first about Drafthouse Films, who are the people that put it out. This is number 14 in their catalog, and I hadn't realized that they had such a they had released so many movies. I had no idea. Alamo Drafthouse. I'm gonna Sorry, I keep doing that to you. I just keep thinking of things I wanted to talk about. So Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. Here's a collection of trailers that I have from them. This label Synapse Films put out a series of these. So this is 42nd Street Forever, Volume 5. So they had 5 compilations of exploitation and B movies and stuff like that. And then they also have one that I have that was XXX trailers, so more for pornos. And these collections are fantastic. First of all, because they turned me on to some movies that I'd only heard of but never seen anything about, and turned me on to some movies that I'd never heard anything about. And on the later ones, what they do is they do commentaries. So this one has a commentary with Alamo owner Tim League and programmers Lars Nielsen and Zach Carlson. And then there's a Remember the Alamo, an exclusive 30-minute documentary featuring the Alamo Drafthouse with rare footage and outrageous interviews. I didn't know that Alamo Drafthouse had a line of DVDs, and that they had 14 of them, no less. Their first one was this one, called Four Lions, by a comedian that I like, Chris Morris. He did a show called The Day Today. He did one called The Brass Eye. He had another one called, was it Jam? Because I think on TV it was Jam, and on the radio it was Blue Jam. I can't remember what. He started on the radio doing all this outrageously funny stuff. But he's definitely a little bit of a subversive kind of comedian and satirist, you know. This one is a comedy about suicide bombers, like jihadists. So Four Lines tells the story of a group of British jihadists who pushed their abstract dreams and glory to the breaking point. He said that when he was thinking about this movie, he would often see news articles and in the paper and on TV and on the internet where, you know, suicide bombers, things had gone horribly wrong, and how kind of darkly funny that was to him. And one of the ideas being that anytime you get a group of guys together to do anything, you're going to end up with a few of those groups, or a lot of those groups, being full of complete fuck-ups and idiots. And it does have it's very serious undertone, and has some really fantastic scenes, and the ending is brilliant. So it was thanks to Alamo Drafthouse that it got released here. I'm going to try to upgrade this copy because it's a little rough. I bought this one used from Movie Village here in town. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is Alamo Drafthouse now, when I was looking at the website after watching this, they have a subscription service that they're starting. So there's a part of the website that you'll see if you're interested, where you can go and you can pay a flat fee, and you get their next X number of movies sent to your house when they're released. You get a limited edition t-shirt, and you get a couple of other goodies. Really smart idea, especially in this day of competing with, you know, Netflix and things like that. And especially with a company like this that's putting out some really interesting stuff. When I was looking through their catalog, they have trailers where you can watch little snippets and full-on trailers for their previous releases. Some of them look really great. There's a couple that don't look as exciting, but definitely a company that I would say, if you're into movies, if this sounds interesting to you and the website looks interesting, it's worth maybe investing and giving them some money up front to get a subscription service. I think I'm going to do it. See how much extra money I can sock away, and maybe do that next month. But I can't talk enough about this. Mind-bendingly good. We watched the director's version, the director's cut version, which was 166 minutes. I'd suggest watching that one. I haven't watched the theatrical cut, but apparently, I think from what Herzog was saying in the little interview that I saw, he was saying, I think that the ending in the theatrical cut is different than the one in the director's cut, and I think the ending in the director's cut is pretty amazing. Overall, it's disturbing, it's beautiful, it's surreal, it's invigorating, it's all of these things, and it's just puzzling, and it's sad. You know, like, some of these guys you end up kind of not full-on feeling sorry for them, because they're horrible individuals. They're horrible people, and they've done some horrifically horrible things, but you just get this, it's really hard to describe. And in one of the interviews, Errol Morris says, you know, the thing with documentary is that you can show a certain person, you can show a certain lifestyle, but you can never ever show what it is that they actually feel about these things that they're maybe talking about. It's really hard to show that inner dialogue, basically, or the inner demons that they have with them. And some of those people, there's some shots in here where you can see, and I mean, you're reflecting your own feelings on it, but I swear you see something in their eyes where It's intense. It's really, really intense. Incredibly well done. There's a pretty interesting interview with Joshua Oppenheimer on a show called Democracy Now!, which maybe you know, maybe you don't. I hear it on the radio up here. They play it on the university stations every morning, I think at like 9 or 10 in the morning. I usually catch it when I'm kind of driving around for work, which is really interesting to hear his interview, because he talks about the amount of time he put into this project and the amount of knowledge he had previously and how he kind of gained the trust of these people over the years, like literally years and years of meeting people and getting introduced to other people higher up and making these connections and befriending them and really wanting them to help them tell their story, you know. Amazing, amazing stuff. Really, really amazing. I'm going to show it again because you should see it. The Act of Killing. And then for the good old birthday, speaking of Errol Morris, I got A Brief History of Time that Criterion put out. Stephen Hawking. Errol Morris turns his camera on one of the most fascinating men in the world, the pioneering astrophysicist Stephen Hawking. So this is the Blu-ray version of this with a whole bunch of extras, so that's going to be really exciting. And we watched this last night, the fantastic Mr. Fox, put out by Criterion. This one has Blu-ray and DVD, so the DVD is split into 2 DVDs and 1 Blu-ray and 1 beautiful booklet, and the extras are fantastic. We watched a bunch of them last night. It's a lot of like animation tests, shots of them, like footage of them building the puppets, building the set, doing some of the stop motion, Wes Anderson's meticulous detail when it comes to even supplying photos of what should be on the desk of one of the creatures during the movie that you end up seeing for like a minute and a half. One of the ones that caught my eye the most was Mr. Fox at one point is drinking coffee out of a cup. The cup is a replica of Roald Dahl's mug that he used to drink coffee out of at home. So a little kind of paying homage to the writer. And if you haven't seen Fantastic Mr. Fox, it's a great, it is Wes Anderson. It's mildly adult, but I mean there's no cussing in it, there's no violence. I think it's a great family movie as well, because the kids can kind of get a little bit out of it, and the adults especially get quite a bit out of it. I've seen it before. Special Sexy Lady Friend hadn't seen it. She was in love with it by the time it was over. It's beautiful stuff, stop motion, and it really makes me think of how hopefully some of those kind of skills and craftsmanship type of things, like building these puppets and these armatures and even miniature versions of them and that kind of detailed work doesn't go away because of the advent of digital and CGI and things, because it's quite a process and it's quite a craft, and it really gives it an interesting look because it's you're not faked, you're not fooled in the least that it's real. It's its own style, it's its own stylistic journey through this world, and especially when a guy like Wes Anderson gets his hands on it, it's a beautiful thing. And speaking of that, I also got Gravity that I saw in the theater and absolutely fell in love with. The one thing that surprised me the most about Gravity, speaking of that kind of thing, was that obviously there's a couple of scenes where Sandra Bullock is, if you've seen the movie, there's a scene where she's in kind of like another craft in space. I can't remember if it was Chinese spacecraft or Korean or what, I don't remember exactly, where you see her full body, but the rest of the movie, everything is CG. When they're in the spacesuits, the only thing that's real is their face. So everything was created on computers. It took 4 years total, and that's 4 years from the conception, like writing the script, to the final released product. I think it was about 3 years total of animation and CG and that sort of thing. But that was also very cool to see because some of this is going a long way. They were looking at how to get that kind of spacey type of movement, and they played with all these ideas. They ended up doing something that they also did in the movie Tintin, where the director can hold the camera and you're seeing a representation of the environment that's been created in space, and he has the ability to kind of move the camera around to kind of set a shot to make it feel like you're floating out there with them. So what they did was they had this kind of template for the entire movie, and then they tried to match it when the actors would stand still and
give their dialogue, and the camera would move around them and turn upside down so it would look like they were now a part of the CG world.
In reality, they were just static, delivering their lines and, like, you know, moving their head and stuff, but they weren't strapped to any rigs floating above a sound stage or anything. It was purely the camera being handheld and manipulated around them, which I thought was very, very cool. I haven't watched it on the TV yet. I think it's going to be just as good because I have seen it in the theater in 3D, that sort of thing, which definitely is the way to see something like this. But it's such an enjoyable movie, and it's so well done that I just had to have it. You know, I had to have it as part of my collection. If you haven't seen it, I'd say go for it. There is a digital ultraviolet code in here if anybody's curious. If anybody wants it, feel free to private message me, and I'd be glad to give you the code. I don't use those things, so I'd be glad to hand that off to anybody. And then I had some gift certificates, so I got myself a few more movies since I was in a movie kind of mood. A film by Werner Herzog and Dmitry Vasyukov, movie that I hadn't heard of, called Happy People, A Year in the Taiga, T-A-I-G-A. There it is there. An epic journey into the heart of the Siberian wilderness. I love Herzog. Did he just direct it? I think he narrates it too. Did it say he narrates it? I believe so. So he's the narrator, and I could listen to him talk forever. Yes, yeah. Insightful narration by Herzog, and then he was a co-director of it, so that's pretty exciting. Just DVD copy. I'm a big fan of Mario Bava, an Italian director, so this is $5 for An August Moon from 1970. 81 minutes. It's one that I haven't seen. I have a box set of his, plus a couple of Blu-rays and DVDs, but this one I hadn't read, or I hadn't heard about and watched, so that was cool to find. Kino Classics, Kino Video. And then finally they had a lot of a French director called Jean Rollin, Jean Rollin, basically, R-O-L-L-I-N. This is one called Fascination from Redemption Video. Fascination is often described as a vampire film, yet like few other horror films, it is actually about blood fetishism. Set in 1905, the story concerns a group of aristocratic women who acquire more Epicurean tastes after drinking ox's blood as a cure for anemia. Stars a Euro porn actress, and it's called Bridget Lahaie or something, L-A-H-A-I-E. So this is from 1979, 81 minutes. Apparently it's kind of his most popular. I know a little bit about him. I've seen maybe 1 or 2 films of his. It's a little bit not quite surreal, but it's not really, they're not horror movies. They're kind of cinema fantastique. They're almost like these fantasy-ish kind of movies. Mostly centered around a pair of females who were usually vampires or something, and because of the time and where he was making the movies, it says here, some erotic component was usually imposed on Rollin by meddling producers. They made him, like what happened with a lot of people in this era and these types of movies. They were told that you can make whatever movie you want, but you have to insert X amount of softcore sex scenes. You have to, you know, or some people even said once every 10 minutes, you know, you have to show a naked woman, or whatever it was. There was all these kind of things because they knew the market they were trying to get these to, but they still left the directors and writers and everything full creativity. Most people, like Jess Franco, for example, embraced that because he could kind of exploit his perverted nature anyway and just put some of his perversions on screen. But I have a feeling a guy like this, he wasn't as crazy about that. And they say on the back here that a lot of the times the erotic components and elements in his movies really stood out as they didn't fit, you know, so he probably did that on purpose, whereas in this one apparently they seem to be a little more natural and they seem to be a fit for the movie. So I'm excited about this one, especially when it says things like playful, elegantly crafted, and brimming with some of the most unforgettable images in his filmography. Fascination embodies Jean Rollin at his very best, venturing outside his usual comfort zones and extending the definition of his filmic universe in the process. Apparently he had a rough idea when it came to the film, but he had nothing written. The only time that he'd done this, and then as it was being made, he was writing it kind of on set, and they would improvise scenes and then create a movie around this kind of rough structure that he had. So I'm excited about that one. They had quite a few of his films there, I think 4 of them, and I decided this one would be the one that I would give a shot, and if it's successful, I'll snatch up those other ones. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. That's it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to let me know, and we'll keep in touch, and so long.
How y'all doing? Styles are ruining.
We have a win.
Yeah, the team's steroing.
Get attention like double D's in a sweater bin. With the many been some of these freak feminines.
Like a shorty that's saying your flies open. I'm thinking naughty, I'm saying yo, why you scoping? She call it grass, I'm calling it high hopes. And she calling ass for sure like 5 notes.